Hello, my friends, and welcome into another edition of JMac Hacks. All right, today we're going to really get into it. The most popular question that I get surrounding my podcast is, how do you do it? How do you present this professional sounding and looking podcast? Well, my secret is a program called Ecamm Live, and today I'm going to show you how I use it, and I'm going to begin to show you how you can use it. And by the way, this is not just for live streaming or for podcasting. This is for Zoom meetings, online trainings. There's all kinds of things that you can use Ecamm for. Now, unfortunately, it's only for Mac. Sorry, Windows users. There are some other options out there to do the same thing, but I love the simplicity of Ecamm. I love how it integrates so perfectly with Macintosh or with Apple. And so my intent today is, first of all, I love to show you how I use it first. That way you can get an idea of how you might use it. So here are some examples of how I use Ecamm Live on a regular basis. Here's my plan. Here's what I want to do. I'm calling this JMac show prep. And what I want to do is bring you into my process. And so here's what I thought I would do. And I'm planning on doing this on a regular basis. This is TV Colm on Twitch. Hello, good morning. Welcome into the stream. Let's see. Okay, so this is a highly anticipated nonpartisan audit of the 2020 presidential election.
They had not reported the injury to their employer.
Okay.
And under Virginia law, you've got to report it within 30 days. And if you don't report it within 30 days, you're out of luck.
I'm fascinated. A food truck family business going back 30 years. I think that's amazing. The other thing that jumped out to me, Burgers Amore, is it an Italian twist on the hamburger or just the name of the truck?
You would think so. It's more that, hey, New Jersey, hey, get out of my face.
12 years later, I'm still doing it and still loving it. So something must be going right.
Absolutely. Well, I love your passion for it. I think that makes all the difference. So hopefully that gives you some insight into how I use Ecamm every single day. It is such an amazing program, so easy to use, so intuitive, and it makes me look like a pro. And in fact, let me give you an idea of how this broadcast would look without Ecamm. So let's do a couple of things here. So first of all, let's get rid of the text there that says Introduction to Ecamm Live. So that goes away. Now let's get rid of this lower third or banner that I created in Apple Keynote. So let's get rid of that. All right, so now you've got this really cool background, right? Now, am I in this fancy room with this cool wallpaper, or is that cement or stone? Let's see by clicking this button. No, I'm in front of a crappy green screen that honestly still needs to be ironed a little bit. So I am not in front of that. And in fact, let me zoom out a little bit and you'll get to the feeling of what's really going on in here. Look at that. You can see a microphone above me. You can see my wife's desk. You can see the green screen hitting the ground. All kinds of things going on in this room. But yet when I can zoom in here and I click the right buttons, suddenly it's this fancy green screen. And then I can zoom in some more, move myself up a little bit. And now look at that. Suddenly I'm transported to a different time and place. Let's get even a little bit closer, get rid of some of the other things that I have in the room. And now with Ecamm, I can be transported. So for my podcast, I'm typically broadcasting from a radio station. So here's what that looks like. Now I like a little blur on it. So this is not a radio station that I work at. This is a radio station in New York City somewhere. I would love to work there. It looks really, really fancy and posh, doesn't it? Or I can be on the beach. My chair doesn't really match the beach. I can be in front of bricks. You get the idea. I can be in front of anything with just a click of a button. Let's go back to my background that I like to use for these JMac hacks. So that gives you an example of the flexibility in some of the things that I have. And in fact, I'm gonna break the fourth wall even more and show you how this room is nothing like you would think it would be. So using Ecamm, I'm going to connect to a piece of software on my iPhone called Ecamm, and I'm going to show you my surroundings and what's really going on. And I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but this has all been makeshift as I've put it together. The most important thing is how you perceive it through your screen, not what's going on around me. So let me see if I can bring up Ecamm here. And I'm going to get rid of me for a minute, and let's see. So as I go back here, so this is my one computer screen on top of another one. So there's Ecamm at work right there. Then I've got a ring light. Over here I've got a teleprompter. Over here I've got another screen. Down here I've got a mixer, a Rodecaster Pro. Down here I've got a Stream Deck. Here I've got an Alexa device. Then over here, I've got yet more screens. And then if you back up from there, you'll see I've got an overhead light. And by the way, I'm sorry for the shaking. I shake. My whole family shakes. We're a bunch of shakers. So I apologize for that. You'll just have to make do. And then as I turn around, you can see I've got more lights. And then I've got my green screen. So that's what this room really looks like. Now, keep in mind, I host several podcasts for people, and they pay me to do so. And they're all video and audio. So when you see the soundproofing, when you see the lighting, when you see the mixers and all of those things, I don't want you to think that all of those things are necessary for Ecamm. In fact, they're not necessary at all. You can do pretty much everything that I'm doing with varying levels of quality from a laptop with a camera on it, or from just a streaming camera or a USB microphone. I don't want you to think that you have to start big or that you have to spend all of this money to make these things happen. That's the beauty of Ecamm. And you know, the other thing I would say is that because of the pandemic, our standards have all been lowered quite a bit. We're used to seeing crappy audio on news channels and those kind of things. So it's even more of an opportunity for you to go out and try things. Don't worry that you don't have all the perfect equipment and everything going on. But again, I just wanted you to kind of see the background so that you can understand how amazing this image is that I'm presenting to you. All of it is thanks to Ecamm. So now it's time to dive into Ecamm Live. I want to give you an overview first. This video is not really designed to dive into how to make things happen. I will have those videos come up. This is really just so you can get a general feel of what the program can do for you and how to make it happen. So this is what Ecamm Live looks like on my end. This is what I'm using to control everything that you're seeing. And I'll go through each step here one by one to give you a better idea of what you're looking at. Let's start out with overlays. Overlays are what you see here on the screen. So this green and blue banner that I've created, that is an overlay. And then I've got text on top of that. The overlay was created outside of Ecamm and brought in. The text is created inside of Ecamm. And I put them all here and I control them all here in my overlays box. So if I click here on the little eyeball or eye, I can turn off that feature and you could see that it disappeared. Same here with my banner. And you can see both of those things are now gone. Click on the eyes and bring them back. If I want to bring in some new graphics, it's pretty easy. I choose the image that I want and I drag it over here right onto the screen. And there it is. And you can see I can move it around and it's listed in order so that if I move this over the top of my banner, you can see that it sits on top of it. If I want it to move below that, then I can drag it down below that banner, and there it is. You can see that it is now below or underneath the layer that the banner is on. So again, I can move that around. I can resize it. And I can control it and turn it on and off by just clicking on that little eyeball. So when I need it, I bring it on. When I want to get rid of it, I bring it off. So that's how quickly and easily you can bring graphics in. All of those are considered overlays, and they will be here under the overlay screen. Now, there are all kinds of overlays that you can bring in. And in fact, I'll probably do an entire video just on overlays, because this is where some of the real magic happens with Ecamm. And it's also where things can get complicated if you don't know exactly what you're doing. And there's a lot of things that really don't jump out at you that you can be missing out on. So overlays is where a lot of those things happen. So if you noticed in one of the other videos I showed you, I had the comments coming in from my live stream. Well, that's an overlay. You'll notice that I have an image pop up when somebody likes my stream. That's a different type of overlay. You'll notice that I had text scrolling across the bottom. That's another type of overlay. So overlay is anything that you're going to drop on top of the image that you're seeing. And again, this is where you can really customize the experience and help better communicate with your viewers what is going on. Like, I like to have this kind of lower thirds banner all the time so that if they pop into my live stream at any particular moment, they can instantly look and see what I'm talking about. That way I don't have to refresh the discussion every few minutes like I used to have to do when I was doing a radio show. This kind of eliminates that. You'll also see that in my overlay, I have all of my social media handles. Again, this is so that I don't have to share it over and over again with everybody as I'm going through the process. So that's how the overlays work. Then next to the overlays, you see the camera effects. The camera effects are, it's pretty obvious, this is where you control the camera. And you have a lot of options here. You can choose which camera. I have multiple cameras coming in. So I have the camera that you're looking at. I have an overhead camera. I also have the camera, the mobile camera that I just used to show you the office or the studio that I'm working in. And you can use this drop down to control all of the cameras. This is also where you decide to turn on or off green screen. There's a fade I'll show you that helps determine the proper setting for the green screen. And again, this is all just for overview purposes here. But as I move this back and forth, you'll see on the image my green screen starts to go away. So there's a proper balance here to get to where it looks as realistic as possible. So that's what that fader does. You can make it so I'm transparent. So if you want to put your image in front of a video game or in front of a slideshow or information, you just click on the transparent button. And now I can put things behind me. I'm a cutout. You can also, as I said, blur the background. And then you can also zoom and pan the image. So you can see, you don't know it, but I have a microphone right above my head. But I zoom in and I pan this up, and you never know it's there unless I tell you. And then as you go down, you have brightness options, temperature options, tint, saturation, gamma. Below that, you can mirror the image. You can convert it to black and white. Not sure why you would want to do that. You can also rotate the image. So again, I'm not sure why you would do this on this camera, but I will tell you when I use the overhead camera, I do actually mirror the image. And I can give you an example of that. So this is an example of my overhead camera, and I'm going to want to rotate that, and I'm going to want to choose that camera here in the drop down, and then I'm going to want to rotate it. And so that's how you can see my Rodecaster, or I could set that to show my keyboard down here. And again, if I move up and change the zoom and the pan on that, let's zoom in, And this is how I can do demonstration videos. And I can actually do product review demos here because you can see my hands. All of these controls are happening inside the camera effects box. And again, for each camera that you have installed, that camera will appear in the drop-down link. And again, I will get rid of that camera. So now moving over, I have the interview box. This is, I believe, for pro members only, and this is one of my favorite features because this is where people will dial into your broadcasts, whether you're going live or whether you're pre-recording. You send them a link that is unique to you, and they don't have to download any special software. They can be on their phone, they can be on any internet connected device, and they'll click on the link and it will log them into the system. And in fact, let me show you how this works just again as an overview. So again, I apologize for the shaking here, but I have sent myself the Ecamm link that is unique to me. I'll click on that link. And then it says Ecamm would like to access the microphone and camera. You click allow. The end user will type in their name and you can see the iPhone microphone is going there. And then I'm going to click join. And then you'll see over here on my screen that I'm getting an alert that somebody is trying to join. So I'll click on join. And now my camera is coming through on Ecamm, but it's a guest in the green room. And so then if I want to bring this person up on the screen, all I have to do is click the right button here, that this is going to be my guest. And here it is. I am live streaming into the show. You can bring that person in and out. You can chat with them in the live stream. And it's really just that simple to bring in guests to your broadcast. And doesn't this look so much better than Zoom and all of the other screens and all of the other complications with Zoom? You can control the cameras. You can have up to, I think, 4 other people in your Ecamm at the same time. You can set up different overlays like you saw in the samples that I showed you at the beginning of this training. And so you can control the look and the feel and the volume, bring in the guests when you want to, mute the guests when you want to. That's all accomplished here in the interview screen, okay? And then let's move over here to the scenes. Now the scenes is another integral part of using Ecamm. What you're looking at on the screen right now is one scene, and you can see I've called it training main. It's my main scene. But oftentimes I will do training and I'm showing people the software that I'm using. In this case, the way that Ecamm works, you get to see my face just fine and get to see all of the controls. So I don't need to use any other scenes because you can see this all happening right now. But what I can do is let's go to this other scene. This is one of the training scenes that I've set up, and you can see that I have my face now down here in the lower right-hand corner. And this is so that I can show people actual software and whatever I'm demonstrating. They can still see my face, but then they get to see the software as well. So what I can do here is click up here on this little computer icon, and I can choose the software that I want to be demonstrating. Or I can choose the display that I want to be demonstrating. So for example, let's turn on Keynote. And you can see if I was teaching somebody how to use Keynote, well, now I've set up a scene where I've got my image in the front and I've got the software in the background. And I can move back and forth between the scenes very easily. So if I go back to the training scene, I just click on play. And there I am. I'm back into the main training scene. If I want to go back to my screenshot and my training, there it is. And now I can click around and do whatever I want, and I can train people, or I can be giving this slideshow and have my image in the front so everybody can see it. So that's what's happening under the scenes menu. And I set up scenes for every different possibility because it makes life just so much easier. Different camera angles, different guests. So if I have a scene with 2 guests, and then I have a scene with 3 guests, and a scene with 4 guests, it just makes it so much easier to move back and forth between each scene. And then there's other things that you can hook up to Ecamm to make it easier to move back and forth from one scene to the other so that you're not clicking on your mouse all the time. And I'll show you that as well as we go along. Then up here in the top right, we have your sound levels. So my audio is the one where you see the green bar going on. I can play movies. So if I want to click up here and choose this movie box and choose a file and choose a video of something that I've done, I just choose that video and click open, and then it will start to show. And then when I'm done, I can click off of that, and you noticed up here in the top right, the audio from the movie was showing. It also has sound effect audio, system audio, which is the audio that is playing on your computer, and then the interview audio. So when you're bringing somebody into the interview, it has that as well. And then over here, you have the comments and reactions. This is if you are broadcasting live to Facebook or YouTube or using a service like I do to broadcast to all of them. Those comments will appear here in the comments and reactions. And again, I'll do a deep dive on these. Now, there's also a sound effects bar, so you can preload sound effects, and it has sound effects that are included. I don't ever use any of the sound effects because I think that they're cheesy, but you can play them. You know, here's your applause, the triangle, you know, and you'll see when I play those, if you look up here in the top right, under sound effects, that audio is playing. So here's the applause one more time, and you can see that coming. All right. So that's all of your different menu boxes and a brief overview of what they do. So much of what you'll be doing in Ecamm will happen in this main display area. And you see a lot going on here. So up here in the top left, this is what scene I'm on. And remember, that matches down here with what scene. So I'm on training main. I can also navigate from one scene to the next by just clicking here and choosing the other option. So you can see I can go back and forth using this drop down if I want. This recording time tells you how long I've been recording. These 3 options here let you decide what camera is showing, if you want to show a video or if you want to do a screen share. And then over here on the right, you have the ability to bring up any of these menu boxes. If they're not showing, or if you want to get rid of them, you just click on that particular box. So if you look down here at overlays, if I don't want that to appear, I click and the overlays disappear. And so that goes for all of those menus. And then right here at the bottom, you have your main camera controls. So right now, the camera that is showing is my main camera. If you click here on any of these other cameras, it will appear side by side. And then if I want the one on the right side to become the full screen, I can just click the minus button here, and now my keyboard is my full screen. And then if I want to bring that back in and get rid of my keyboard, there it is. So this is where your general controls are for which camera. That's your camera switcher. All right, which camera is visible. And you can add multiples, and Ecamm will figure it out. Let's say I want to bring in a guest. And I don't have a guest right now, but this is where the guest would go. And let's say I also want to bring in my keyboard camera. So now you can see they're all lined up, and you can use the camera settings to zoom in properly and do all of those things. So this is how you bring in multiple guests, multiple cameras. They will be available here to you in this camera switcher. And again, you can see how beautifully easy it is. And then over here, you have a preview mode. I'm not going to dive into that too much, but this allows you to make changes while you're broadcasting, and people won't see those changes until you publish them. So that's good for on the fly. And then here you have the ability to pause and finish your recording. So now as we get back into the product that you're seeing, you get an understanding of what's going on in the background and how easy it is to use everything. So what I want to do in future videos is take you through each of those menu boxes that I showed you and teach you how to use every single control. And all of this will be focused around how I use it. And if you have questions, put them in the comments and I'll see if I can answer them for how you might potentially use them. I'll show you how to integrate this with Zoom, how to use it in Skype and other video conferencing software. I'll show you how to get the best audio to bring in multiple audio sources. And I will show you how to live stream to Facebook or to YouTube. And then if you want, how to broadcast to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and do it all at the same time and bring in comments from all of them together into one live stream. That's when you really start to have a lot of fun with live streaming. So I hope this has been helpful. Please subscribe if you're interested in Ecamm and you want to see how all of these other features work. And again, in the comments, please let me know if there's something you want me to focus in on. And this is all just to answer the question that I get all the time. J-Mac, how in the world do you present what you do with the product quality that you do? I have people from my old radio station contacting me saying, how are you doing what you are doing? And it's been my little secret. And now I want to share it with you. So thanks again. Thank you for joining me on this edition of J-Mac Hacks.